Hello, my wonderful family and friends. I'm recording another video for you guys today, and I've really enjoyed recording these. I appreciate all of your amazing feedback and your encouragement and your ideas for future topics. Please keep those coming. But I really love this idea of breaking down some of these topics that are often just kind of thrown around within spiritual communities and new age communities as if people know what the hell these quacky spirit people are talking about, right? And I say that because, my own spiritual transformation, which I'm definitely going to be sharing more of, is only about 18 months old. So I know how I felt when I heard terms like raising the collective consciousness, right? And magic and meditation and mindfulness and chakras, right? All those terms went right over my head. But I really want to help people understand them because it's through that understanding that you cultivate a sense of knowing, right? And knowing, is what that means your thoughts have changed, right? And when your thoughts change, your actions change. And that's when your life changes, right? And I speak from experience. So I thought of another term that I wanted to break down for you guys today. And this is one of my favorites. I use it a lot on my social media and in just conversations, with friends and family. And that is this term called the magical thinker, right? What is a magical thinker? Well, a magical thinker, in my opinion, is someone that doesn't limit their thoughts to just negative and positive, bad and good, sort of these boxes that we have created for ourselves in this society that we live in. And because of that, they're often kind of looked at as illogical. They're the ones that, sort of have this abundance mindset, right? And they know without a shadow of a doubt what their purpose is. And they would never let the simple thinking of this world and these little boxes put limits on their possibilities, right? They're often entrepreneurs and meditators and creatives, because creation is a form of meditation. And it's the whole point of being and living. But I say that, especially meditation, because that means that they have sharp intuitions, right? Science is finally starting to study meditation in a way that's telling us how it improves our instincts, how it improves our ability to be better decision makers, right? And these folks, magical thinkers, they just tend to step out on faith more, right? Because just something in them, that voice inside of their head tells them to, and they listen, period, right? But what does all this mean, right? In real life, what's a real life example of how a magical thinker sees something versus how someone that is more just in the boxes of positive or negative sees reality, right? Sees things that we see on social media. So a friend of mine sent me this post, and I'm going to read it to you guys. I've seen it before on social media, and it's titled "Why Men Don't Marry," right? And I'm going to read it to you guys. This is what it looks like, and it says, "Why men don't marry? Because there's nothing in it for them. What exactly does marriage offer men today? Men know there's a good chance they'll lose their friends, their respect, their space, their sex life, their money, and if all goes wrong, their family," says Helen Smith, PhD, author of Men on Strike. They don't want to enter into a legal contract with someone who could effectively take half their savings, pension, and property when the honeymoon period is over. Men aren't wimping out by staying unmarried or being commitment phobes. They're being smart. Unlike women, men lose all power after they say I do. Their masculinity dies too. Right? So a magical thinker like myself sees a post like that, and I initially kind of think, wow, sheesh, that's heavy and very strong language. A little Debbie Downer-ish, right? Debbie Downer from SNL, womp, womp, womp. And I mean, hey, if you want to sell it that way, very many pitfalls to marriage. And many of the things, or all of the things that this expert says are certainly, have happened, right? I know many people going through divorce right now. I have been through a divorce myself, right? I know firsthand how nasty a divorce can get, right? A relationship ending, a commitment ending can get. But because a magical thinker, is still grounded in reality, right? I'm very grounded in reality. I know the possibilities of, everything that's happening in this post. And I am not here to say, nor is this video here to comment on marriage being right or wrong or good or, bad for men or women or any of that. That's totally your decision to make, independent of me or anyone else, right? But I will tell you how a magical thinker views things like this, because we come across things like this on social media all the time. And part of your ability to live in this, sort of environment where social media kind of, runs our lives, so to speak, is to be able to figure out how to process messages like this that are constantly being thrown at us, right? And so a magical thinker views this post, one way. They see it as fear-based thinking. And a magical thinker tries very hard to avoid fear-based thinking, plain and simple. because that's what this post is. It's textbook, it's textbook philosophy, fear-based thinking. And as I tell my son daily, fear is not real, right? And this post views marriage as dangerous, right? All the things that it talks about, losing your manhood, your masculinity, your money, your power, all of those things, that sounds dangerous. And human psychology, I'm no expert, but I read a little bit. Human psychology tells us that when humans sense danger, they do one of two things. They either fight or they flee, right? And ladies and gentlemen, I will be so glad when we stop looking at commitment and marriage as something to be afraid of, right? As something that's dangerous. Concluding on something as complex as marriage and commitment based on this narrow context is the equivalent of making a conclusion when you don't have enough data, right? And it's also the equivalent of judging something when really you should just be observing, right? And that's something that magical thinkers are really, really good at because they cultivate an ability to observe and not react, right? That's what meditation does. They do that through stillness, and they cultivate this ability to observe more and react less. Judgments are reactions. Observations are just acknowledging what is, right? Think of how much easier your life could be if you could stop reacting to things that you should just be observing. This is what eliminates conflict, and this is what prevents you from being in the scenarios that exist in this post, right? Or at least attempts or helps to prevent those things, right? There's no guarantees in life. So, major step in cultivating the mind of a magical thinker is embracing stillness and developing a meditation practice, right? And by meditation, I simply just mean the art of doing one thing at a time. Trying to learn how to be able to watch a movie and not scroll on your phone at the same time. Trying to learn how to go for a walk and maybe sometime turn the music off and just hear the nature, right? This is a society where we love to multitask, right? We celebrate it. We love being booked and busy, right? But meditation helps strengthen the brain in ways that simply boost your ability to sit alone, to sit and not have anxiety over being alone and being in stillness. And it also strengthens your ability to be a better decision maker, to be better able to focus and to have stronger abilities to concentrate, right? So when you couple that with a strong spiritual foundation, right, now you have sharper intuition, okay? And that's why magical thinkers are said to have the ability to think with ninja-like precision. They can process all the endless thoughts and all the possibilities, negative, positive, real, whatever, and they can sift through the noise and see the magic that other people just simply don't see. Here's an example. Think of it like this. A negative thinker sees a post like this and they say, yep, that's why I'm never getting married. Positive thinker sees it and said, that would never happen to me, right? And, both of those realities are possible. But a magical thinker, well, someone like myself, just speaking for myself, I see posts like this all the time and I just quickly summarize all the thoughts, the positive, the negative, the real, and then I step into the spirit side of my consciousness, right? And I start processing some information that hasn't really even happened yet, right? Because as I mentioned in my last video, we're in the midst of a shift in consciousness, a major shift in consciousness, a major shift in the way we as Black people think, right? And with that shift is going to come different actions, okay? And with those actions, you're going to start seeing dynamics between men and women shift. And you're going to start to see all that fear-based thinking that was once ruling us because it was forced on us through slavery and systemic racism and all these things, right? The way we were raised by our parents and the parents before them, all those things that put us in places of desperation and that resulted in failed relationship after failed relationship and outcomes like this, losing your masculinity and your manhood, all those things that, were once possible. Well, when consciousness starts to shift and people start to heal and people start to return to religious practices that were once demonized and called the devil, right? When all that stuff starts happening at the same time, well, now you're starting to defy logic, right? Because we can't focus on historical data because this stuff has never happened before. All this stuff happening, the rise in mental health care awareness, the access to mental health care, celebrities backing mental health care, technology fueling it, and that's just one aspect. I'm just talking about mental health care, right? I could talk about lots of other things that are also happening right now, like spirituality, right? Like Black people finally starting to embrace, things that were once called the devil, right? In our spiritual practice, and we're starting to abandon some of the racism that was embedded in our Christianity and our religion. All those things happening at the same time, it's never happened before. It's going to cause 1 billion awakenings right now and in the future, right? And we have no way to predict how massive it can be. A magical thinker has a feeling. You know, they have a real strong feeling of how impactful that can be to relationships, how impactful that can be to things like, you know, divorce and being able to end a relationship in an amicable way, you know, free from judgment and just full of observation and filled of love, right? And, you know, and now suddenly you don't see this as a possibility. You don't worry about your quote unquote manhood being stripped because it was never meant to be taken away. You can't take away something that's yours, right? So that's the way a magical thinker sees a post like this, you know, and because the question is, what do you believe, right? If you believe in fear-based indoctrination as it relates to commitment and relationships, then you will believe this. But if you believe in the magical possibilities of everything that's happening right now in our society and things that are changing right now as we speak, someone is healing right now. Someone that would not have been a prospect, you know, for someone like me, for example, you know, as I date, right? Someone that would not have been a prospect a year ago is undergoing a healing and a transformation that is suddenly making them a prospect. I personally have undergone healing and transformation that now makes me a prospect for someone that I was not a prospect for a year ago, right? Now all of a sudden things are shifting. And so the question is, what do you believe, right? Because whatever it is, know that it can and will change. Nothing stays the same. But developing a strong meditative and spiritual foundation, that's the key to getting to the magical thinking that's free from fear and just full of promise, right? Not because you live in la-la make-believe land. I just processed a lot of information. It's all fact-based. I didn't just make stuff up, right? But because I meditate and because I have sharp cognitive thinking ability and I can process billions of thoughts like a ninja, and I'm spiritually grounded like Jesus and Buddha and Muhammad, okay? I don't deny myself to experience God. So why would I, you know, God don't want that for us, right? I don't live in that world. I don't live in that universe. The simplest way to get there is learn how to be still through meditation, right? And obviously it's strengthening your spirituality, but the meditation is one that anybody can grasp on. And it's very simple to get started. I'll even give you a little tip. Sit for 5 minutes and set a timer, right? The setting of the timer is very important because for a beginning meditator, 5 minutes feels like 5 hours. You know, I've been there, right? So you set a timer for 5 minutes and you just practice sitting still for 5 minutes and notice what you notice. Become the observationalist of your own body, right? Notice the air in your nose. Notice the rise and fall of your chest. Notice the sensations in your body and notice when your mind wanders because it is going to wander. That's what we do. That's how it is. Don't beat yourself up about it. You're not going to get in trouble, right? We live in this society where we're expected to be perfect, even in meditation, and you're not. It's okay. Your mind's going to wander. Notice it and bring it back. Tell it to come on back to the breath, right? And do that for 5 minutes and do it and try to do it every day or every other day, whatever makes sense for you. 5 minutes and then grow 5 minutes to 10 minutes and then 10 minutes to 20 minutes. And then you'll start reading about it. And then you'll start to figure out other ways to meditate, right? And then you'll start sharpening your cognitive thinking ability. And you'll sharpen your intuition. And you'll see posts like this. And you don't even think twice about it. It doesn't even like register with you. Because you just know that's fear-based indoctrination. And yes, it's a possibility. But I'm a magical thinker. And I know how to bob and weave and avoid people like that, right? So it sounds really simple. And part of it is simple. But it's hard to change behavior, right? Especially when we've been told to do the same thing over and over and over again, right? Be busy, scroll, be busy, buy this, do this. Everything is telling us what to do. We have to learn how to be still and we have to learn how to hear our own voice because when we hear our own voice, then we don't hear these voices that are propagating fear for us, okay? So I encourage you to develop a strong meditative practice, right? Start with 5 minutes. And see it grow, see it blossom. Meditation and mindfulness is all about the experience. I can say all these words, but until you try it, you don't gain anything from it. You have to experience it. And once you experience it, you will see your life transform from that of a positive or negative person to a magical person, right? And then you just might look up one day and find yourself 18 months later recording videos, right? Telling people to become magical and believe in their magic. Who knows? Anything is possible. So I invite you to become a magical thinker. Okay? Peace.